Hi everyone, I welcome you all to learn about 18 electron rule. This rule is mainly applied to organometallic compounds. In part 1 video, we will understand the rule with few examples and exceptions and limitations. In part 2, we will be doing some more problems. We will first learn about the extension of the octet rule by Langmuir. Then we will actually learn what is the 18 electron rule. Then what are the electron counts for different ligands. Then we will work out few problems and understand the exceptions and limitations of 18 electron rule. Mainly the content of this video is based on the organometallic chemistry book by Gupta and Elias. You can also refer Inorganic Chemistry by Huey and Inorganic Chemistry by Mesler and Tarr. Now, there is the Irving Langmuir actually have done the extension of the octet rule, because the octet rule was obeyed by the main group elements only, and that too the extended valency was not explained by the octet rule. So in order to apply the rule beyond the argon in the periodic table, Irving Langmuir has proposed this formula Vc is equal to S minus E, where Vc is the number of shared electrons of a given atom in a compound, or even it could be a metal complex. S is the number of electrons required for the completion of its valence shell. It will be 8 for second row elements in the periodic table, or some of the main group compounds also, or organic compounds especially, and 18 will be the number of electrons required for the completion of its valence shell in case of organometallic compounds which contains carbonyls as the ligands. The E refers to number of valence electrons that is present in an isolated atom. Now the same formula is given here, but some examples are there. So let us now try to understand the example. The formula is rewritten here. The number of electrons required for CH4 is an organic compound. The number of electron required for the completion of its valence shell is 8. So how many electrons are actually present in the carbon? 4. So how many more electrons it requires? It requires 4 more electrons. That 4 electrons is the number of shared electrons that it gets through bonding with hydrogen. Next example is PCl5. This also strives to attain the octet configuration. The number of valence electron will be 5 because it belongs to ns2np3 configuration, and so the number of electrons required will be 3. So these 3 electrons are gained by the phosphorus through its bonding, covalent bonding in chlorine. Through chlorine. Next one is the next two examples are from the transition metal compounds. These transition metal compounds try to achieve 18 electron configuration in its outermost shell. For iron, the number of electrons that is present in its valence shell is 18 because it is 3d6 4s2, and for nickel the number of electrons present in its valence shell is 10 because it is 3d8 4s2. So now here the number of electrons that are gained by the iron through the shared electron is 10. These 10 electrons are obtained from the 5 carbonyl group. Similarly, number of electrons required more for nickel to get 18 electron is 8, and these 8 electrons are obtained through 4 carbonyl group. So the 18 electron rule states that thermodynamically stable transition metal organometallic compounds are formed when the sum of the metal d electrons and the electrons donated by the surrounding ligands equals to 18. So when the metal electrons and the ligand electrons, when you add these two, then the number of electrons that you get should be equal to 18. Now there are two key points here. First one is the thermodynamically stable compound. Right, so when the compound achieves 18 electron, or when a compound obeys 18 electron rule, it will be a thermodynamically stable compound, and the rule clearly states that it is applied to transition metal organic compounds. So there are main group organometallic compounds, but the rule is not applied to those compounds. What is this magic number 18? It refers to Ns2, N-1, D10 and Np6 of the transition metal. So when you add these, then we get the number 18. So any metal in the organometallic compound under consideration will try to achieve the outer electronic configuration with these 18 electrons. Then that compound will be stable. Now, let us have few points to think about before we actually go into learn more. The 18 electron rule is obeyed when the metal is electron rich and the ligands are good pi acceptors. So what is the requirement on the metal? The requirement on the metal is metal should be electron rich. When metal will be electron rich? It will be electron rich when it is in lower oxidation state. For example, if we take iron, then in the valence electronic configuration for iron is 3d64s2, that is 8 electrons are present in its zero oxidation state. In its +3 oxidation state, then only 5 electrons will be present. So in which case the metal is electron rich when it is in zero oxidation state, or when the oxidation state is low, then the metal will be electron rich. The complexes, those obey 18 electron rules, are stable. It is possible to predict the number of metal-metal bonds in the given complex by counting the number of outer shell electrons around the metal atom. This is very important because we need to know how many metal-metal bonds are present in a given compound when more than one metal atom is present in the given organometallic complex. There are two methods for electron counting. One is the neutral atom method and the other one is the oxidation state method. In the neutral atom method, this method does not require the assignment of the oxidation state for the central metal atom. We need not have to find out what is the oxidation state of the metal when we are going to follow the neutral atom method, because it's sometimes difficult to arrive at the oxidation state of the metal. We will find this when we are working out the problems more. The electron counting scheme based on the oxidation state method actually considers the precise number of electrons available for donation on a ligand. So this has its own advantage. So we will come to know about what is the exact number of electrons that is donated by the ligands only by the oxidation state method. So both the methods has their own advantage as well as disadvantage, but we will be mainly following the neutral atom method throughout this video and when we are working out the problem, because when we work out the problem, it is easy to find out the number of electrons on the metal when the oxidation state is not assigned. Let us now try to understand some of the common ligands and their electron contributions. Now, this table, I will tell you how to understand this table first. The common ligands are given here. The mode of binding is given here. Then the electron contribution through the neutral atom method is given here. And the oxidation and the electron contribution through the oxidation state method is given in the last two columns. Last two columns is further contains two different components. One is the electron contribution and the formal charge. So this formal charge refers to what is the actual charge. Sometimes we call it as a neutral ligand or a negatively charged ligand or a positively charged ligand. That refers to the formal charge. And now in the mode of binding, this represents the terminal binding, that is MCO, MPR3, MH, MOR. All these represents the terminal binding. When the ligand is flanked between the two metal atoms, then we call it as bridged binding. That will be represented as mu. Sometimes we also have another mode of binding called through hapticity. This will be in the case of olefins or any double bonded compounds or triple bonded compounds. So now let us take the example of carbonite. When it is acting as a terminal ligand, then by neutral atom method the electron count is 2. Now for oxidation state method also 2, because the formal charge is 0. It's a neutral ligand. when it is binding through the bridged, when it has a mode of binding as bridged, then again it contributes only 2 electrons by both the methods, because this has an oxidation state of this has a charge of 0. Let us move on to phosphine. Phosphine, when it acts as a terminal ligand, again since it's a neutral ligand, the number of electrons contributed by the neutral atom method as well as by the oxidation state method will be 2. Now, when phosphidoligand, that is Pr2 minus, right? When this acts as a ligand and the mode of binding is bridged, then the neutral atom method counts the number of electrons from the ligand as 3, and the electron contribution in the oxidation state method is considered as 4, and because the formal charge is -1. Here we can notice that when you add the electron contribution by oxidation state method and the formal charge, then we get the electron contribution by the neutral atom method. Then the next one is amine, when it is acting as the terminal ligand with 0 as a neutral ligand. When it is acting as a neutral terminal ligand, then the electron contribution is 2 in both neutral atom case as well as in the oxidation state method. When it is an amide ligand, that is Nr2 minus, then the neutral atom method counts that the number of electron donated by Nr2 as 1, whereas the oxidation state method counts the electron contribution as 2. Now the same Nr2 can also act as a bridging ligand. When it acts as a bridging ligand, then the electron contribution by neutral atom method is going to be 3, and electron contribution by oxidation state method is going to be 4. Then for hydrogen, when it is a terminal one or when it is the bridged one, in both the cases the number of electron contributed is by the neutral atom method is counted as 1, and in both the cases the electron contribution by oxidation state method is 2, because the formal charge on hydrogen is -1. Then alkene, when it is has the hapticity of eta 2, then it is a neutral ligand, so the electron contribution is 2 in both the methods. Now for alkyne, again it is an eta 2, it will form eta 2 complex. Again the electron contribution is going to be 2. Now when the same alkyne forms as a bridging ligand, then the electron contribution in both the cases, that is in neutral atom method as well as in oxidation state method, is 4. Now the interesting case comes with the nitrosyl. Nitrosyl can bond with metal as a bent ligand or as a linear ligand, right? It could result in bent geometry or in the linear geometry. Now when it is the when it shows the bent geometry as the mode of binding, then by the neutral atom method the electron count is 1, and when it is showing the linear mode of binding with the metal, then the electron contribution is 3 by neutral atom method. Here also we can see that when it is bent, the formal charge of the NO is -1, and when it is linear, then the formal charge on the NO is +1. Then for alkoxide, when it is terminal, then it has a -1 charge, and 2 is the electron contribution from the oxidation state method, and 1 is the electron contribution from the neutral atom method. The same alkoxide ion can act as a bridging ligand also. In that case, the neutral atom method counts the electron as 3, whereas the oxidation state method counts the electron as 4. The halogen, which are all negatively charged ligands, contribute 1 towards neutral atom method, right, when it is acting as the terminal ligand. And when it is acting as the bridged ligand, then the contribution is 3 in the neutral atom method. In the oxidation state method, the contribution is 2 for terminal when it is as a terminal ligand, and the contribution is 4, electron contribution is 4, considered as 4 when it is acting as a bridged ligand. There are few more examples here. The alkyl group can be considered as a terminal group or as the bridged group. Whether it is terminal or bridged, it is a negatively charged ligand. So correspondingly, -1 has to be the number of electron contributed should be subtracted from the total electron contribution from the oxidation state method. So in the neutral atom method, the electron contribution is considered only as 1. Then when it is an aryl group, again the formal charge is -1 and the electron contribution is 2 in the case of oxidation state method. But when you add these two, you get 1, which is the electron count considered in the neutral atom method. The same is true for acyl group and for the thiolate group. When you come to carbene and carbine, now, in the case of carbene, which is M double bond Cr2, the neutral atom method considers the count as electron count as 2, whereas the oxidation state method considers the electron count as 4 because the formal charge on carbene is considered as -2. The formal charge on carbene is considered as -3 and the electron contribution is considered as 6 in the oxidation state method, whereas the electron count is taken as 3 in the neutral atom method. In the case of fullerene, it is going to bind with the metal through eta 2 formation because the hapticity of 2 is usually reported with the fullerene mostly. In the neutral atom method as well as in the oxidation state method, the electron count is taken as 2 because it is considered as a neutral atom. Where the cyclopentadienyl is a negatively charged ligand. It can bind through hapticity 5 or hapticity 3 or hapticity 1. So correspondingly, the number of electrons that are counted in the neutral atom method will also differ. If the hapticity is 5, then 5 is the electron count by neutral atom method. If hapticity is 3, then 3 is the electron count by neutral atom method. And if the hapticity is 1, then neutral atom method considers the electron contribution as 1. The same is true for allyl also. Then the next one is benzene. Benzene and the cyclopentatrienyl are given here. Benzene is a neutral compound. So the electron count in both the cases is 6, whereas cyclopentatrienyl is considered as a positively charged ligand. So the electron contribution will be 6 in the case of oxidation state method, but you add this, you get 7, which is considered as the electron contribution in the neutral atom method. We can have one more observation from this table. Here we see that the carbonyl, when it is bound by terminal binding or by bridged binding to the metal, in both the cases, the electron count is the same. Similarly, here also hydrogen, when it is bound as a terminal hydrogen or as a bridge hydrogen, again the electron count is the same. What does this indicate? It indicates that carbonyl or hydrogen cannot be differentiated as a terminal one or a bridged one by electron counting scheme. We can observe this even for the case of alkyl group. The alkyl group, whether it is bound terminally or through bridging, the electron contribution is the same. Having learned the electron contribution of ligands for different modes of binding, we will now understand how to apply 18 electron rule and how to calculate the metal-metal bond. The quantitative format of 18 electron rule is 18N is equal to total electron count plus 2m. We will understand these terminologies now. M is the number of metal-metal bond. So 2m refers to the electron count from the metal-metal bond. TEC is the total electron count that is calculated from the formula of the complex. Some book refer this as total valence electron. So this could be, both are same. N is the nuclearity of the complex or the number of metal atoms that is present in the given organometallic compound. The point to be noted here is the 18 electron rule is applicable when N is in the range of 1 to 4. Now, when the number of metal atoms or ions that is present in the given complex is more than 4, then it is not a simple complex, it is going to be a cluster. So, this simple 18 electron rule cannot be applied there. Let us try to understand the equation little bit more, right? So, each metal in the complex try to attain 18 electron configuration through coordinate bond and or metal-metal bond. Right, so this is what we have seen in the extension of the octet theory also by Langmuir, right? Already the metal will have some electron in its valence shell. Additionally, it will gain the electrons through the coordination bond from the ligands and the electrons through the metal-metal bonds. The complex may or may not have the metal-metal bonds, but it will definitely have the coordinate bonds from the ligands. So there are n number of metals in the given complex. The total number of electrons around all metal atoms or ions will be 18 into n. So if there are two metal atoms, so the total number of electrons will be 18 into n. That is, every metal atom will obey the 18 electron rule. So 18n is equal to TEC plus 2m. I'm slightly rearranging this equation as TEC is equal to 18n minus 2m because I can calculate the total electron count from the formula of the complex, and I can get the 18n also by knowing what is the value of n, right? So the value which cannot be obtained from the formula of the complex is 2m, but I can get the numbers from this equation. So while calculating total electron count, the number of electrons in the metal-metal bond is not included. This you will understand when we are actually doing the problem. So when this is subtracted from 18n, the number of electrons involved in the metal-metal bond will be obtained, or divided by 2, the number of metal-metal bond that is present in the given complex will be calculated. Let us now try to understand this from an example. Now, the first example is very simple because it contains only one metal atom. So, nuclearity is equal to 1. Now, the central atom that is present here is iron. The calculation is given for deuteral atom method as well as for the oxidation state method. The cyclopentadienyl ligand is considered as with a formal charge of -1. That is why iron is considered to be in +2 oxidation state. In the neutral atom method, no oxidation state will be assigned to the central atom. Now the iron will be considered in the 0 oxidation state. So the total electron that is present in the iron will be 8 because 3d6 4s2 by neutral atom method, and the count will be 6 by oxidation state method. There are two cyclopentadienyl with eta 5 mode of binding. So each cyclopentadienyl ring contributes 5 electrons. Don't bother about the side chain here because it is not attached to metal. So this is not going to contribute to the central atom, the electron count of the central atom. So there are two cyclopentadienyl rings. So that means 10 electrons in the neutral atom method, or in the oxidation state method, the cyclopentadienyl rings are considered as 6 electron contributors. So 12 electron from 2 cyclopentadienyl rings. And we see that in both the cases, we get the answer as 18, which means that this complex is a stable complex. Now let us move on to the example where the nuclearity is greater than 1. First, we'll take this complex Fe2CO 9 times. The total electron count is from iron 8. Here we are going to follow only neutral atom method. 8 electrons on each ion into 2 is equal to 16. And there are 9 carbonyl groups, each contribute 2 electrons, so 18. So there are 34. So this is what is the total electron count that we calculate from the formula. Now this itself tells you something, because when I divide this by 2, I will get only the answer as 17, which means that every ion now has only 17 electrons around it, right? So now how we are going to proceed with the problem? We'll see how this is getting solved, right? Now the 18N minus TEC is equal to 2M. So 36, 18 into 2 is 36, because each ion will try to achieve 18 electron configuration. So 36 minus 34 is equal to 2. So there are 2 electrons contributed through the metal-metal bond. That means divide by 2, there is one metal-metal bond that is present in this complex, right? So this is given as number of metal-metal bonds per metal. This is number of metal-metal bonds. It is not bonds per metal. It is number of bonds per metal bonds per metal, right? So this can be calculated from TEC by N. So TEC is 34 divided by 2 is 17. So that means each ion atom is deficient of 1 electron to achieve 18 electron configuration. So now this has to be satisfied through the formation of metal-metal bond, one metal-metal bond. Here it is given wrongly, right? It is not 2, this is 1. So now every ion in this complex will try to have one metal-metal bond, so that the electron gained from that is added here to get it as 18. So the basic arrangement in the metal of the metal atom in the given complex is iron bond iron. Let us take the second example. Now here also the N value is equal to 2, right? Now this is a cyclopentadienyl ring with the electron count of 5. Molybdenum has the electron count of 6, because this is present in chromium group, and every carbonyl group has an electron count of 2. So there are 2 carbonyl groups. So 4 plus 6 plus 5 leads to 15 into 2 is equal to 30, right? But what is the total electron count? This is the total number of electrons from all the metals. This is going to be 18 into 2, that is 36. And what is the total electron count that we have calculated from the formula? It is 30. So there are 6 electrons contributed from the metal-metal bond. So that means there are 3 metal-metal bonds that are present. So this also we can understand through this formula here. Number of metal-metal bonds present per metal atom is going to be 30 divided by 2. So that means 15. So each molybdenum now has only 15 electrons. It requires 3 more electrons in order to achieve 18. These 3 electrons are gained through 3 metal-metal bonds that are present between them. So number of metal-metal bonds per metal is 3. So MO triple bond MO. Let us move on to the next example, Fe3CO12. Here the electron count is given 8 into 3, 8 for ion. Each ion into 3 is 24. For each carbonyl 2, there are 12 carbonyls, 24, so 48. So 18N count is 18 into 3 is equal to 54 minus 48 is TEC is equal to 6. So the 6 electron count comes from metal-metal bond. So how many metal-metal bonds are there? There are 3 metal-metal bonds, right? So now how many metal-metal bonds are present per metal, right? So I want to calculate it. So now I am dividing 48 by 3, which gives me 16. Because now why I want to know this? I can arrange the three iron atoms in two different form geometry, right? Either as a triangular geometry or as a linear geometry. I want to know which geometry is correct, right? So now, what is the electron count that is present on each ion? 16. So each ion now requires 2 electron, which can be gained through the metal-metal bond. So now I am analyzing these two geometries, and here I find that this holds good for the first ion because 2 electrons can be gained. But when I take the middle ion, right, there are 3 electrons. So that means electron count will now become 19. Right, for the third ion, it has only one metal-metal bond, so that means only one electron. So the total electron will be around this ion will be 17. So all the iron atoms are not having 18 electron in this geometry. So now I go for this geometry. All the iron atoms have two metal-metal bonds. So which means that apart from the 16 electrons, right, the two electrons are gained through the metal-metal bond formation. So now each iron atom is in 18 electron configuration. So it is stable, right? So now we can observe that the total electron count does not include metal-metal electrons. This I think hope you have observed here, right? What are the exceptions and limitations to 18 electron rule? The elements which are present on the right side of the D block elements, for example, nickel group, right? Nickel, platinum and palladium, they don't obey 18 electron rule. Actually, they obey 16 electron rule because they form square planar organometallic complex. The D0 complexes in which the metal will be in higher oxidation state also will not obey 18 electron rule. And when the ligands are bulky, then the complexes might be formed with less coordination number, right? Because it's bulky, it occupies so much of space, so the coordination number might be less. So the electron count also will be less than 18. So in that case, the 18 electron rule will not be obeyed. So this is an exception. The organometallic compounds in which the number of metal atoms present is greater than 4. So this I have already told you. When the number of metal atoms is present is greater than 4, it will form a cluster, not a simple organometallic compound. So it will not follow the simple 18 electron rule. And we have also seen that the organometallic compounds of transition metal compounds only will obey 18 electron rule and not the organometallic compounds of P and F blocks. This we have seen when we have seen the rule, right? There are few mistakes that are found in this video. I apologize for the same. Please refer the description box for the details. Thank you so much for your attention.